Well, I know where everybody's at tonight. They're out celebrating Valentine's as they should. Okay, that's why we got a thin crowd in here, but that's all right. Man, proud of our guys. Obviously one of our best defensive performances. We had been on a really good run defensively prior to the last two games where we'd given up over 40%. But we really answered the call here tonight and simplified a lot of the things that we were doing defensively compared to when we played them a month ago. But it required us to play with a real edge and a real toughness, and I thought we did that here tonight. But really proud of our guys. Obviously, tons of adversity. You got as many guys over there in street clothes as you do wearing jerseys. But we always say you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And today the guys decided to step up for one another and get the results. And so very proud of them. Phenomenal crowd here tonight, tons of alums, which is great to have those guys back. And we fed off that energy to make up for the lack of depth that we may have had.
Yeah. Obviously, well, I guess first off, how is Eddie? But obviously, his absence kind of shakes things up a little bit. But it does seem like, on the whole, maybe some guys are starting to understand what's going to be asked from them game to game, whether it be like how many minutes they're going to need or just what their role is. I mean, do you feel like it's kind of taken a little while, but you are starting to see people kind of understand where they are on this team right now? Yeah, absolutely.
It does take a little longer, I think, for nearly every team when you have 13 new players and a lot of guys in and out of the lineup and figuring out those roles and things. But yeah, I think we've kind of settled into that, and we've got an understanding of what to expect from each guy every night, and that you play your most confident when you know what your role is. And what's needed and what's expected of you. I think that's when players play at their very best. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to settle into that because the pieces kind of have to fit together, and that's certainly where we're at right now.
And how is Eddie? Like, is this going to be a long-term thing for him?
I hope not. He went through shoot around here today, and we just didn't want to push it. So I think we'll see. But he's a tough guy without a doubt. We definitely want to have him out there. We're better with him, and so it's exciting for us to get a big win without him because obviously he's better when we're back in the lineup.
And you were talking the other day about matchups in this conference and how much that makes a difference. And obviously App State is a really good defensive team most of the time, but looking at some analytics stuff, there are some spots on the floor where maybe they're not as good. And they also happen to be places where Justin likes to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys were pretty aware of and look to him maybe a little bit more at times today?
Without question. He's the best player on the floor. I think he's the best player in the league because he can just beat you in so many ways. And it is a matchups-driven league and this year, and he's the difference maker, right? And I knew the matchup with him tonight with their lack of switching. They play with two bigs. He's just such a mismatch problem, right? Because if you don't switch, he can obviously shoot the ball from the outside. If you do, he can take you inside. He impacts the game with his passing and his rebounding. And so, we talked, and I gave him a nudge twice before the game. I said, listen, you're the difference maker. You need to come out and be aggressive and don't settle. I thought we settled when we played down there against them last time, and we did not take the fight to them and win that matchup. And obviously that's a matchup that was a huge one, and we knew if we're going to win this game, then that's one that you have to really do a great job. I thought we went down there and played. Our guards were really good. Our forwards weren't nearly as good, and so we needed to win that battle, and I thought we did tonight.
Understanding that you're not looking at the standings and, sometimes you're more concerned with how you played than what the final score is. Just the fact that if you look at these last few games or last few weeks and you've beaten top teams in this league and, you blew out Texas State that's been looking really good since, like, are your players maybe starting to see those things and just have more confidence or more belief in what you're doing right now?
Yeah, without question, as they should. They've earned that. I keep going back. I thought it may not have been a turning point in terms of our record and success when we played App a month or so ago. This was one of our worst games of the season on both sides, and we had some really hard conversation the very next day before we practiced to prepare for Marshall. And I thought we played great against Marshall. We didn't win, but we really played well. The things that got us beat at App that we fell short with, they didn't beat us the next time. And then I think we came home and lost another one, right? Maybe to South Alabama, right? But then we kept responding, and so that's hard when your coach is telling you, look, you're doing what we ask you to do. We're fixing this. We're getting better, and it doesn't show up in the win column. To continue to have that belief. So when you do win 3 in a row, and you win these close games, and you beat App, who just happens to be at the top of the league right now, you should have a lot of confidence. But it's the same message that we had when we lost to them by 15 as it is winning by 10.
When it comes to someone like Justin, you've talked a lot about what he can do scoring-wise, but recently it's felt like there's been an uptick with him actually initiating the offense, bringing it up a little bit more. How has that maybe unlocked a new dynamic, maybe with someone like Bradley not having to be that guy all the time and trying to set things up?
Yeah, I think it's been really important. Obviously, Brad's wired to score, and so moving him off the ball, Coach Say's done a great job of allowing him to be able to do that. But yeah, again, Justin's such a dynamic player. I mean, he's a 6'7", 245-pound point guard out there, or he's a 6'7", 245-pound three-point shooter or bully inside. And so he's such a mismatch problem, and it allows you to kind of be creative as to where you move the pieces around so that guys can play to their particular strengths. Because he has so many of them, it can set up the other guys and allow them to increase their usage rate to play to their strengths.
And then basically a 2.5 to 1 assist-to-turnover ratio in this one today. What did you like about the ball move? Only 5 turnovers out of this.
Yeah, I thought it was great. They're not a high-pressure team. Their defense is pretty similar to us. They usually don't generate a ton of turnovers, but they're physical. And I thought we answered the bell with that. And taking care of the ball season low, 5 turnovers is really important. It's not like we played incredibly slow. We played as fast as we were allowed to within this game. 13 assists on 25 made field goals is great. One guy, Cliff, gets 5 of those, and that's a real testament to him, because obviously he's been on an unbelievable scoring tear. He's proven that he's more than just the best three-point shooter in this league, because he drives the ball. He had a game winner the other night. But people play him really tight, and so he found ways to impact the game and get 0 turnovers, 5 assists for his teammates today. So he's really becoming a complete player for us. And then for us to generate 10 turnovers and 16 points off turnovers, I thought we just played really tight in our gaps. We did a great job, for the most part, guarding one-on-one, getting some deflections, some scrape steals, and coming up with the 50-50 balls. Then we got a chance to get out and play in transition, which I think we're as good as anybody in the league when we can do that.
In the opening minutes of the game, a lot of the shots that App State was getting came really late in the shot clock. So did you feel that in the onset of the game, did you feel good about that way the defense was responding early? Did that give you a sense that you're locked in tonight? Yeah,
I thought the first 8 minutes we were incredible defensively. I thought our guards were – we were just playing tough. We were staying in front of the ball. We were jumping off into our gaps, showing bodies in there. We were winning the block, which is really important concept against App State. But yeah, I thought we were just playing really physical, and we kind of simplified some of the things that we were doing defensively going into this game. But again, it was going to require us to really man up, and because if you don't play with elite toughness and physicality, then you can't defend that way. And I thought we really did that. That first 8 minutes was probably as good as we've defended all year. Can we maintain that for 40 minutes moving forward is going to be a great challenge for us.
What was the concept against Jennings? Who was responsible for kind of keeping him at bay tonight? Because he really wasn't much of a factor all in all.
He wasn't. Honestly, it's not one guy. If you go back and look, he probably had 1 through 4 on him at different times. I think we did a good job really making him work for it, because I think he's such a high level player. When he sees the ball go in early and gets a couple easy ones, then his confidence goes up like most players. So really just making him work for it, anchoring down on his drive, staying down on his shot fakes. Was a really important key, and us just staying out of closeouts, I think, was a huge difference in this game versus the last time we played them.
Coach, you're not looking at the standings, but they're really muddy.
Are they?
You guys are right in the middle of it, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of teams within range. There's still 2 games tonight. You guys slid into the 10 spot tonight, which means you don't play the first day of that bracket.
Okay.
How much of a
Oh, wow. I haven't given that too much thought, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's tough. I think conference tournaments at our level are difficult. There's a lot of challenges with it. You know, the first one being that we run a men's and women's tournament together, so it makes for very long days. Not that that's wrong. It's just kind of the way it works. And we want to take everyone to the conference tournament. And so when you do that, you have an extremely long bracket. And you better pack some sunscreen because you're going to be down there for a while if you're winning and having success. So I don't know if I'm a fan of it. I've done this a bunch, and last year, for example, to where you've won the league and you got that bye all the way to the semifinals, and I've never won the tournament doing that. Every time that I've been a part of winning the tournament, it's you've had to win 3 games or more, and so obviously that's the position that we're going to be in, and I'm a fan of getting to play. I like to coach these guys and extend our season as long as we can. So, however many games that ends up being as we finish up these muddy standings down the stretch, then we'll be ready for it. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Okay, I hope everybody's got a sweetheart out there, and it's a win you can love. That's a really good one right there. I'm going to use that, but guess what? I'm not going to give you any credit for it. I'm going to take it. All right.